Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Words from Behind the Desk. I am so excited to be seeing you guys here on another beautiful Wednesday. I don't have to say rainy. If you live in Orlando, you know it's been raining the last, I think, 3 or 4 times we've done this. We are live again, and we have an incredible guest. My name is Vakai Rafai, and I am with Rania Arwani, who I always love. Rania, how are you doing today?
I'm good. Everything is going.
It's still going. So then that's a good day. I am pretty excited about today just because we have the honor and the privilege to talk to somebody very, very special. And first, before we get into who we are talking to today, guys, if this is your first time seeing us, we appreciate you so much taking the time to sit and watch us. And please, if you haven't already, like us, love us. That way we can show this to more people and give value and community awareness as well. We are live. So if you are here during our live, please drop us a comment in the left and the right, below us, above us, wherever it is located where you're seeing us. And that way we can maybe pop in and ask that question, maybe for this live. I am super excited. We today have Representative Amy Mercado, who is a candidate for the Orange County Property Appraiser. Okay, first off, let me do like my my big introduction for Miss Mercado. The second-term representative of House District 48 in parts of southern eastern Orange County has firmly established herself as a progressive voice for women, Latinas, Hispanics, healthcare, local government, and labor. Guys, this is a moment to be a part of history in electing the first female and the first Latina property appraiser. So let's go ahead and bring in our very special guest, Amy.
Hello.
Welcome,
Amy. Thank you. It's always interesting to listen to other folks describe me. It's still surreal. It's only been, a few years.
How are you doing today, Amy?
I'm doing good. Considering all the crazy and what we believe is our new norm, thankfully, I'm doing very well.
Perfect.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you being here today.
So, Amy, why don't you give us an introduction of who Amy is?
Sure, and thank you. Thank you so much for doing this. This platform is actually incredibly intriguing. I love your energy. I love the way you all think. I'm State Representative Amy Mercado, and I currently represent House District 48, as Vakai mentioned. I'm a wife, though, a mom of 6 adult children, a caretaker to an ailing grandmother, and a businesswoman. I'm running for Orange County Property Appraiser because the community has lost faith, trust, and respect for the institution that is the Orange County Property Appraiser's office. I will bring competence and integrity back to the office with the experience I have gained as a businesswoman and as a state legislator. And I will turn around the Orange County Property Appraiser's office because I have a blended, multifaceted, multinational business background, which spans across the healthcare, legal, and agricultural industries for several decades. I have years of experience in enabling organizational innovation, which include human resource management, risk management, crisis management, policy development, finance compliance, responsible agency spending with overall efficiency and transparency. But most importantly, I build consensus among industry participants. Furthermore, I have some public finance experience relating to multi-million-dollar real estate transactions, such as the financing of multifamily rental housing developments, similar to the programs you see administered by the Orange County Housing Finance Authority, for example. And as a director of operations and a state legislator, I have and continue to invest a significant amount of my time learning the laws and rules applicable to Florida real estate and beyond, not just real estate. This is a bigger issue. As a legislator, I have filed, I've researched, I've debated, I've voted on laws affecting all kinds of things, including taxes, economic development, land use, housing, community development districts, condominium laws, homeowner association laws, agricultural land use, etc. So I'm ready on day one to handle the property appraiser's office.
Woo!
Wow.
Oh, gosh. I think we're done, guys. Thanks. Okay, bye.
We're done. Bye.
There's a lot. And that's only, a few minutes of my life. There's so much to share.
Right. Okay. So Amy, we're talking about property appraiser. Now, can you tell us, like, let's just break it down foundationally. What is a property appraiser and what do they do? Why is it significant to me? Why are we voting on it? What is it? And what is it that you would be handling?
Well, thank you for the question, first and foremost. And it depends on where folks have no idea what the property appraiser's office is or what the property appraiser does. But really what it is the simplest in terms is that it is the administrator, the leader of an organization, an institution. Mm-hmm. That person is not out there actually appraising anything. They don't have to. It's a different concept. It is an elected position. So you are the leader, the helm of the office. Mm-hmm. The fact that you may or may not have a background in it is great, but you can't necessarily use it because the system and the concepts are different. What you're there for is to lead a team. In this case, it's a team of 130, 150. It's grown throughout the years of different positions with specialties in customer service all the way through to agriculture, real estate background, and beyond, right? So there's a whole level of differences and resources that you really want to hire the best and brightest.
Right.
True.
And when we talk about a leader, I mean, women just exude leadership, and especially a mom of 6 children.
Yeah, you are a leader. Serious multitaskers, right? Yes. So I'm a mom of 6. 3 are birthed, 3 are bonus, 5 were raised together. I have the physical and financial scars to prove each and every one of them. And I've learned so much, right, from them, especially in having to do that. And I tell my kids, I've raised my kids with one statement all the time. They probably hate hearing it. And it's, life is about choices and consequences. Mm-hmm. So the choices that we make, whether they're good, bad, or indifferent, have different consequences. And as a mom, as a wife, as a businesswoman now, I've had to deal with those life choices and consequences. And what you see today is the fruition of those choices and consequences as one. Some are great. Some of them are a little hard pressed, and I would prefer never to have to relive them, but they make me who I am, and they actually allow me to share my life and my story with my community.
I love your story, Amy. It's an amazing story. I heard you talk about, we talked about, but let's explain and talk about, inform our viewers. You mentioned that you are running because the community lost faith in the current institution, or an institution at this point. Yeah. So how did that affect your, decision to run for this office?
Yeah. So, this office currently in its current leadership has had all kinds of battles and all kinds of bruises and a level of secrecy and non-transparency that I feel is important to the community to understand and know and be able to peel that back. At the end of the day, that office belongs to the community. That office belongs to the taxpayers, and everything and anything that happens in that office should be public. Okay, it's on our backs. We're paying those taxes as property owners and folks in the community. And so there shouldn't be any reason for us to not know what's happening in the office and where every penny of every dollar has gone in that office.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I agree completely. Because we just talked briefly about, when you talk about that institution as a part of the community is the one that's backing it, that's supporting it. And when you have little divots and things, it's the community who has to rectify these deficits or whatever the case may be. So
it's always on the back of the taxpayer, right? At the end of the day, that office is a public office. It's probably the most litigated office that I have seen in its history. From different reasons, from actual valuations and the cost of things within the structure of the institution and or beyond, right? We have whistleblower lawsuits, we have discrimination allegations, we have so many problems. Mm-hmm. To the millions and millions of dollars of taxpayer dollars that are paying for every one of those cases and litigation. So
and that's why it's an elected position.
Mm-hmm. And it's an elected position. At the end of the day, that office, prior to its current rendition, most people didn't know it even existed, right? It is, and it's one of the things that starts the process. It is not the end all and do all. That office is about creating and assessing assessing the values of all the property in Orange County, to then go through literally like 7 or 8 steps of approval and regulatory procedures to then get what becomes the final Orange County taxpayer base budget, right? And how then the county spends those dollars that are collected based on what the values were and eventually paid into the larger pot.
Wow. So especially talking about a community position, that is why August 18th, everybody, is super important on a local level. We've seen now more than ever how our elected officials trickle down to us. I think it's been very pungent in our face now more than ever. So August 18th is a very important date. Amy is on the ballot, and it seems like when we're talking about a community position that affects each and every one of us, you want somebody with leadership experience. You want somebody who has administrative to be able to oversee 150 plus appraisers. It's not you who's going out there and doing these appraisals, which I think is interesting, because when I think about who I'm electing, I think that that's the person who's going to be going out and doing property appraisal.
No, and that person oversees, right? That person is basically the team leader, right? Or the coach of your team. It's very specific to that start, and it's a collective. Again, this is why it's important to build bridges, not burn them and then have to cross them afterwards, right?
Right.
Because it's the start of a multi-step system that then needs to communicate. At the end of the day, it starts with the community or the taxpayer and ends with the taxpayer. And that position is very important. But part of this is also cultural and even generational. Many of us live here, don't come from Florida. We're not native to Florida, right? We're native to other places. I'm a native New Yorker. I'm a Bronxite. And so this position in New York doesn't exist the same. It is actually a commissioner, right? It's appointed by a local government. It's not elected. We have the opportunity to elect this position, which I think is even more important, because it's the voter, it's the person that decides who gets to be in that seat, not a political position. It's not coming from the governor. It's not coming from any of the mayors. It's folks around you and I. It's our neighbors. And the neighbors need to be comfortable in understanding and feeling that the person that's there speaks to their plight, speaks to their struggles, and is able to give their voice audience.
Exactly.
I love that. So let's just talk, what are some of the requirements for an Orange County property appraiser? Just for breaking it down to us a little bit.
So I have all the experience required by the state constitution, the state laws, and the Department of Revenue for this position, because it's an elected position. There are no other requirements to that other than that the voters vote for you and get you in there. But I bring a very different perspective, though, and I bring decades of experience, professional experience, organizational experience, which I think is very important, is what's needed in this office. A lot of the struggles and the problems I think that we're dealing with and we're witnessing today have to do with the fact that the person currently in there does not have the leadership skills necessary to run the office, and has then created these wars, so to speak, and these battles with folks unnecessarily. The whole point of it is you want to negotiate. You have to bring people to the table. You have to make hard decisions. And yeah, at times there may be some litigation, but it shouldn't have to start with litigation.
Right.
True. That is very true. So Amy, let me ask you, we talked about both worlds. How are you going to merge both these worlds, your world and the OCPA world? Let's talk about it. I know you use the word, married both worlds, but
yeah, it is. It is a merging of family. So I have a blended family, right? I'm accustomed to merging things and being able to redefine what things look like. And I think this is important. And this opportunity gives me even more of a light in being able to do that successfully, as I've done before. So like I mentioned earlier, I have a blended background. I started in healthcare, then public finance, the legal industry, and then ag. None of those things you would think up front merge with each other or work with each other. But the reality is that no matter what the organization is, no matter what the industry, no matter what the business is, it requires a certain set of skills, and organizational leadership is one of them. Managing people and processes is important. That's what I do for a living. That's what I've studied. That's what my degrees are for. And I've taken time to get to that level and that position, because I didn't graduate college at 21. I actually, did things a little bit untraditional, but there were important pieces and important markers that I wanted to ensure I had and learned, and have been able to leverage and tether all of that information and experience to what I do for a living now, professionally and politically. What this office does is actually merges the two, because I can fight for my community and advocate for the things that are important locally and at the state level and at a national level from right here, using my skills and my experience and all of the business practices I have put to paper, policies and procedures and things that I deal with every single day. I've dealt with audits for the last 15 plus years, multiple audits, not just a compliance audit, not just a finance audit, two very different things, multiple management reviews. All of those things have different layers and different purposes. And so I bring that experience with me to then share with the 150 plus, or 130, 150 positions, because we don't know, what it's going to look like moving forward. And you need someone that's willing and able to, I call it pivot from the politics to the policy, so that you can actually shift between one and the other seamlessly and be able to speak truth to that power.
And a woman does that very well.
You have no choice.
They have no choice.
I think we actually have a question from a viewer. If you want to,
Sure.
Yes, let me go ahead and Joshua. I hope I said that right. I'm not even going to try again, because my name always gets mispronunciated. They ask, how excited are you, Amy? If elected, you would become the first Latina property appraiser.
Make sure I'm not muted. So I'm super excited, but I also don't do culture politics, right? It's important to me as a Latina and as a woman to be able to do this job and hold that position. But that's not the first reason. It's about the work. It's about the institution. It's about the respect of what's happening in the office and what the office does for the community. But it also means that I'm very proud, right, as the first anything, to be able to do this job and show our community that we can and we know how and we can do it effectively.
I love that. I love that. I love that. So you are running for office and you have the know-how, the skill set. You've done what would be required of the position before, but now you would be doing it with a whole new title. How do you differ, do you feel, from your opponents? What makes you stand out?
Yeah, so at the end of the day is new perspective, right? Is bringing a whole different light, all my experiences, good, bad, and different, to this fold, to this position. I know what it is to struggle. I understand and can empathize more so than most people can even imagine on how hard it is to survive, right? My community is struggling now, whether it's Hurricane Maria survivors, whether it's COVID survivors post this pandemic, right? Folks are struggling, whether it's healthcare situations. I've battled for health services. I've battled for educational pieces for our children. There's so many different things that I empathize with because I've dealt with them. I've had to make hard decisions based on economics or based on education or based on experience that most people don't have. And I can share that information. When you have to decide, so I have a multi-generational family. When you have to decide as an elderly person in my family, either to pay for their mortgage or buy the medication that they need because it's now needed based on a longer term situation, and that medication costs hundreds of dollars and they've fallen into the Medicare donut hole, I can speak truth to that because I know what that looks like and have been able to figure out, okay, well, instead of you sacrificing your mortgage and your payment for your medication, I'll sacrifice mortgage or medication payments for that medication, and you don't need to worry about that. Wow. But I'm also, there's a cultural piece there. In my ethnicity and my culture, we do this multi-generational family. And so we hold on to each other and try to make things better. And there's no secret. Like my grandmother's a cancer survivor. She's lived here for the last 25 years. She's the reason why I live in Florida. And she has fought 25 years what was a 6-month stage 4 breast cancer diagnosis. So every day is a blessing, but also every day is a challenge, because we don't know when that last day would be. And all of the different healthcare issues that she's had to contend with for 25 years have compounded from services and treatment that she received 10 years ago, 20 years ago, whatever that situation was. And we're dealing with it every single day. And every day is new. And so to keep her sane, so to speak, to keep her health in check, to keep her from stressing, my family, it's not just me, my family, all of us, from my children to my parents, make collective decisions to ensure that she's well taken care of.
Perfect. And Amy, you're answering our future questions. Like I have
so sorry.
Our future
questions. It's gone. You answered it.
How has your past job?
She answered it. I mean,
well, let's just talk about the cultural element a little bit, just because I heard you, and I think that everybody who's listening hears you. You know what I mean? When you're talking about taking over a position, that you are going to be managing a slew of people. You definitely embody and exude all of those requirements that are required of you to be able to efficiently and effectively do that position. So I think that when the question was, how does your past experiences, how are they going to help you in this position? I think your entire lifespan essentially has kind of prepped you for this position.
Yes.
Yeah, from
I feel it has. I mean, I think it really does. You know, you need and want someone in any leadership position, regardless of the position, to be able to empathize, to be able to understand the plight from the entire chain, right? Whether it's the customer service person to the elected official, every step of that way should be understood. And I've been able to say, and I can say, I've been in every one of those steps. I've started, like it's been a running joke in some of the circles that I run with and you know, have learned from, but I've gone from having to clean bathrooms to cleaning rear ends to being an executive, right? So it's taken me decades to get to where I am, both professionally and in my educational experience, but I've gotten there. It's not when I got there, it's how I've gotten there. And as I've been, you know, serving my community, both as a healthcare provider and a business office person back to an executive position that I hold now, it's taken that long to get there. And I am very appreciative of that. I'm appreciative of those experiences because I know what it means to not have enough. I know what it means to still struggle. I mean, I have a family with all my kids still, you know, they're adults. My youngest is 22, but there's still college that I'm paying for. And we fall into a real interesting economic piece, right? Because I make too much for certain things. So they don't qualify for certain grants. They don't qualify for certain scholarships. So how do they pay for it? Either they pay for it on their own with student loans, or mom carries it and dad carries it, right? And so some of the sacrifices that I have made is I then absorb my children's educational pieces because I haven't been able to say, oh, we'll pay for it in cash. We're going to take the student loans and we'll be the guarantors of that and we'll pay for that. That's public record. Like the level of debt that I'm in for student loans alone is ridiculous, but it's my
half of America.
And now my children's education that I've merged together. Again, there's another merging of things, right? And so when you have somebody come into an office like this position who can't pay for their bill because they have to decide, you have to be able to figure out how to negotiate with this person and what are we talking about? And, you know, this is what's the value is. And it's an art. It's not a science. It's not a hard and fast formula. There's a way around it. And clearly the incumbent has found very interesting ways of finding, you know, help for other people. Now you just have to balance that. Everybody should have fair, just, and legal valuations of their properties.
I love that.
Perfect.
And I mean, I feel like, again, you my question was
answering questions that
listen, she's just that good. She's just that good, Rania. We have to accept our new elected candidate. Okay. This is who Amy is. Again, guys, August 18th is
even before then, because early
Now,
voting
today,
started.
right
You're
now.
right. You're right.
Mail
Okay, I keep
here,
forgetting that.
election
I know,
day
and I
is
keep
today.
giving
Go,
everybody
go,
who's
go,
got
go.
procrastination.
But yes,
I'm
the
a-
last day that you can vote is the 18th of August.
okay, let me start saying that. The last day, guys, the
That's
last
right.
day that you can vote is August 18th. I don't know why. August 18th just stands
I
out, but you're right.
Well, that's the main
I
thing.
told you like 2 weeks ago.
I know you did.
I told you, and I showed you, like, hey, did you vote? Did you send in your mail-in ballot? And you said
You're
you
right.
were going to do it.
Listen, procrastination will not get the right person
No,
elected,
no,
ladies and gentlemen.
no,
So
no.
early voting is right now. The last day, thank you, Amy. The last day to vote is August 18th. It is super important to elect, meaning do the research, do your own research. We're bringing some people to the table because we did our own research and we're producing that information to you. But August 18th is the last day, guys. We have to make sure that we are making an informed decision when we are electing people in office that are going to trickle down to us. It may not be today, it may not be
And those
tomorrow, it
local
may
these
not be a year
positions
from
affect
now.
you first. Local positions affect you first. You know, most folks, and it happens even from me, right? Like most people focus on the national news. They focus even on some of the local news because it's a little broader. But the folks that are here in Orange County, the cities, right, all the municipalities in the county, affect your daily life first. The national politics and the national race will affect you in the future. But the stuff that's happening today and who's sitting in those seats today that you affect by August 18th, you decide who they are. You then understand what they bring to the table and why you've decided to vote for any one of them, and be able to show that the people that are representing you today in Orange County government live here, work here, play here, suffer, struggle, all of the above here with you.
Yes.
Right.
So, Amy, we have 2 questions from our viewers. We'll put the first one on, and then I have other questions that I need to ask. But
sure.
So the first question is from Josue, and he's asking, are you going to stay in the current property where they're located, or are you going to move to a county-owned building to save the taxpayers, us, some money?
Yes. So that all depends on what I see as a contract. So it's funny that keeps coming up. So one of the things that the current office holder ran on was the expense of the office years ago. So almost 8 years ago. It is very expensive. Real estate downtown Orlando in the SunTrust building, for example, it's $1 million plus lease. But those leases are negotiated. So we need to understand how long the lease is, what the requirements are if we wanted to break a lease. And it's not that office only, the county is involved, because some of those contractual pieces are the county's contract, not necessarily the office's contract. So I need to understand the confines of that and the legal structure before we can attempt to renegotiate. Now, I've renegotiated all kinds of leases before in my current role, so it's not impossible. We just need to understand what's available and what we can do. And I would love to have that office, shared space in another county facility where we can actually save money and not need that budget. Because again, that $18 million that the current budget is in that office comes through the county. And so we can send that back easily. We not have to spend any of it or not even budget for it if it's not necessary.
All right. So we have 2 more questions, and the 2 questions are the exact same kind of. So let's go. Go for it.
So this one is going to be from Romy, and Romy is asking, I am sorry to see the mudslinging from the incumbent. Could you address and clarify the accusations that he has stated in a recent mailer about a character spending and other allegations?
And
wow. So that's a hefty question. And thank you, Romy, if I'm saying it right, my apologies. There's so much to unpack there. So part of this incredible conversation and this incredible process that we call politics, there's all kinds of spin and mudslinging. And I've attempted to not engage any of that. Any of the stuff that's happened, we've shared from my campaign that I've approved, that I have full control over, has no level of mudslinging. It's about me. It's about my life, my family, what I do, what I've advocated, the work I've done in Tallahassee. What's happening from the other side is, there's PACs involved that I have zero control over, and you can thank Citizens United for that, right? Like there's all kinds of money in this race because it's developed all kinds of interest. A lot of it has to do with the experiences that folks have dealt with currently and the level of litigation that this office holder is under. And so, you have to deal with all of those pieces. But there's all kinds of spin. There's always half truths, misinformation that are sensational. But like I mentioned earlier, my life is an open book. Everything that I have is open to the public. My financials are open to the public. My public records are open to the public. And there's misstatements or spin on things. Again, I'm a mom of 6 with all of the details that come from that, right? Those financial and physical scars are real, and I have to contend with that. But the difference in this race is that I have set out a campaign of competence and integrity. And what the incumbent is trying to do is then attack my character, my integrity. What he doesn't see is that what he's actually doing is sharing information with people that then see me more human. Right? They deal with the same situations. How many people don't we know that have had to make hard decisions in their life that they have to contend with every day? I have no problems in sharing my information. I can tell you this, I have all kinds of details that I can share, but 30 seconds is never enough. You can call me, you can ask me any question you wish. If you think that my ability to do the job has to do with some spin that he's put out there for you, then only you can make that decision. But if you believe that I am like you, like your neighbor, and I've advocated for you and the things that are important to you and have been able to share a message and put it to the public on the reality and the sacrifices that people like us have to do every single day, then you have a choice. And at the end of the day, the choice is the voters' choice. It's who they put up there. It's not, oh, they have no problem. I'm not perfect. I've never said I was perfect. None of that has ever been in any of my documentation. On the contrary, okay? It's my imperfections that make me the person that I am and have the integrity that I have and push for the things that I need to push. Again, there's no pride in saying that I have cleaned behinds, right? And bathrooms to get to where I am. I know what it is to have to raise my sleeves and do what are the things that I need to do to be able to put food on the table for my family. I know what it is to work 80-hour days for years, not for a short period of time, but for years. My first 5 years in this state were 80-hour days. Weeks. That means that I sacrificed birthdays, holidays, important pieces with my children, all kinds of plays, right? I couldn't show up to a school play because I was traveling for work, okay? And so then who then picks up the slack, so to speak? My village, the rest of my family, the rest of my multi-generational household that sends me videos, that send me photos, that share information, that go to the parent-teacher conferences alone. My husband would go alone because I wasn't in town, because I was away dealing with the economics of my life, right? And be able to share what I can share with my children. From my perspective, that's the type of person you want, the person that's actually struggled day in and day out to make the hard decision because they're not going to spend your money irresponsibly.
Yeah, I agree.
I love that.
You're human at the end of the day, just like us.
I've never claimed otherwise.
I know, right?
There is another question.
Steve was going to ask the same question, and we have another question from Steve. So,
Another question.
Tanya, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah, sure. So let's talk about what the cost for defending the incumbent and the whistleblower cases. Do you know?
So I think, yeah, no problem. Part of Steve's question was about a foreclosure mail. The mailer states something about foreclosure. So I've never had a judgment in foreclosure, so that's false, right? That's not even an issue. But again, it's about spin. So the second piece to this, Steve, is, the whistleblower lawsuits. They're hundreds of thousands of dollars. Like the cost in legal fees for this office has been in the millions, depending on what the case is, right? There are different cases. But the amount of cases is, I think, the biggest question. How can this be such a litigated office? And again, the incumbent will spin and say, oh, no, it's because, we're so unique in Orange County. Yeah, we're unique, but not that unique. I mean, there's comparable counties in our state. There's 67 counties in our state. Even combined, I don't think they have the level of litigation that we have. And so some of that is practice. That's pride. That's hypocrisy from the incumbent's perspective.
So,
Wow.
and do you know who's paying to defend?
We do. It's the taxpayers. None of the money that's been
We
paid
do.
comes out from his personal pocket.
Our money.
Our money.
Our money. So
Actually,
again,
Steve, it's your money. Because even if you're not a property owner, understand that, you know, there's also a misconception of the office and the tax base, right? If you don't have to be a property owner for property taxes to affect you. If you're a renter, okay, somebody owns the rental property that you live in, whether it's a home or it's an apartment. Somebody owns that. That means that they have to pay property taxes. That means that their property is valued and assessed a certain way, right, with a certain amount. Who do you think pays for that? Those folks don't necessarily pay for that. What they charge you goes to that payment and whatever profits, right? And depending on how they schedule those scales, so to speak, then you pay more, you pay less, but you don't have to be a property owner to then not to be affected by our property values.
and that is why it is important to do the research and elect. This is why it is an elected position. And I see Joshua just put another comment and said the cost of legal fees are almost equal to a small county's budget to operate.
I probably, yes, I will agree with that. Because first of all, you know, 67 counties in our state. So you have small counties and you have medium counties, you have large counties. The level of money and the waste. And it's really interesting to hear the spin because like, oh, well, I've given back all this money. You could have given back more if you weren't misspending it.
So Romy has another question. And if you want to post it, Pakai.
Let's see here.
To be clear, all of the incumbent
citizens of Orange County
legal fees, are paid by, so do we know how much these legal fees have cost?
So they've been in the millions
of our money.
Money?
I can't even give you the final dollar because they're still ongoing, right? How many cases haven't even been heard? It's my understanding that the 2 whistleblower lawsuits are actually still ongoing and should go to trial in January or early 2021, which means that we're still be paying. I will be sitting in that office come January and we'll be paying for stuff because of the current office holder.
Wow.
And it's storming. I'm sorry. I don't know if you can hear that.
No, we live in Florida. We have to accept our weather.
No, I want to clarify. Did you say millions?
Yes.
You said millions. Yeah, I just want to clarify. So I actually have a question that you did not answer.
Oh, there you go.
So, Amy, if elected, what is the first thing you're going to do the first day? What you walk into the office?
That's a good one.
Wow. Okay. So outside of a cleansing, because I think we need to air all that energy. No, but in a serious note, it's developing and it's part of, you know, some of the stuff I've shared in the past. We need a full-fledged transition. Okay. And so that means I want to put together a transition team of different experts from around the county, maybe even the state, to help me level the playing field, so to speak. I need to understand the baselines. I want to see all the documentation, and I'm requesting right now, and you know, I have to figure out what the procedures are from the county's perspective, all the way through the Department of Revenue. But I want a forensic performance audit. That means not just a narrow scope audit. What I want is everything. I want to know where every penny of every dollar for the last 8 years has been spent, because what you've seen in some of the allegations, that's just the top layer of problem, in my opinion. There's such a level and veil of secrecy right now that you don't have an idea of what else is in there that's negative, that needs to be cleaned out and aired and change, right? We'll probably have to reset policy. There's some ethical pieces that we need to address from the top down. And so it's important for me to understand what that base is. So the transition team is very important to me. I function that way. When I got elected as a legislator, as a matter of fact, I've been elected now 4 years at the State House. My first term, the first 2 years, was about observing. I knew what I was getting into. I knew why I ran for office, and I knew the things that were important to me and what legislation I wanted to file. And I did. And I fought for that every single day that I was there. But the other piece that I did was sit back and watch. You need to just watching people and understanding where folks are, where the allegiances are that you don't know up front, how how to navigate your the topic that you want to engage in and champion. And people are like, oh, well, I'm going to go talk to the speaker. Well, the Speaker of the House dictates certain things, but it's really the career staff that have the expertise and have the detail. The Speaker, as much as he's the leader of the House, is, again, an elected leadership position. He doesn't have all the details. He doesn't know all of the history of the why this particular policy exists or this particular law has changed 10 times in the last, I don't know, decade, okay? Or why did it take 10 years to file and pass a law? That comes from the staff, because with our term limits in our state, the who actually runs the state has changed. So it sounds great when you say, oh, well, there's term limits and, we can get people out of office. That is true. There is a level of truth in there. But that also means that the people that are actually in power is the lobby corps, because they have the details, and the career staff, the people that have been there for 20 and 30 years and can tell you 5 years ago or 5 sessions ago, which is actually 10 years, right? You end up with the change in this one word that then basically nullifies the law and why that's happened. Okay. And so I spent significant amount of time in observing people, observing issues, read. I have read thousands of pages of state law and have found very interesting and intriguing pieces that occur in even the legislative process. Okay, there's 3 words that are very powerful: may, shall, and will. Those 3 words change the meaning of just about any legislation. One enforces it, and the far end says, oh, well, you can, but it's not enforceable. There's nothing to it. Yes, so it's the law, but good luck with enforcing it. That's significant, those 3 little words. And another one that I've learned very, very well is notwithstanding. So you could have 10 reams of paper dictating all this information. And Rania, you're an attorney. I'm not an attorney, so you can correct me if I'm wrong. You have 10 reams of paper with all this detail and all this information. And then the very last paragraph says, notwithstanding all of the above, this will happen. Okay, so what it says under notwithstanding is the reality of what you're actually going to be able to do or not do. The rest of the paper is lost. So if you don't know those details,
right,
if you're not willing to learn those details and be humble enough to say, I'm going to learn a lot of this other process, because that's the whole point. You learn where you're at, and then you make changes if necessary. There's no need to change for change. There's no reason to, toss up the whole system because of one problem. The problem is not necessarily the system. The problem is the person running the system. That's where your change should be. And the voters have the wherewithal to do so.
So then going from that question, which I thought, Rania, was a phenomenal question, what happens day one? What, Amy, is it that you want the voters to know? What is it that you want them to know? You have a moment to talk to them. Election day is here / the last day is coming up.
Listen, at the end of the day, that I'm me, that I'm them, right? I'm their neighbor. I'm their advocate. I'm the person that has been willing to give truth to their power, to allow them to see that someone lives just like them, struggles just like them, figures out a way around it, has had all kinds of mental health pauses, right? Because it happens as a mom, as a woman, as a whatever, the first something, like all of that has its own weight. And people need to be very aware that Amy Mercado lives just like them, struggles just like them, but is willing to leave all that out there, to put all that in the public realm and run for a position, whether it was my legislative position or this one, because I feel I can not only do the job with all the experience and the laundry list of information that you see and have heard, and some that you haven't even heard of, because we never have enough time. And we've been talking for 45 minutes, right? Like, there's so much to me. But really, at the end of the day, I understand and empathize and am tenacious. I do not give up. And part of this entire conversation and even this entire race, my prior competitors will tell you that I've allowed them to set the tone. Okay. You set the tone because you set the opportunity. You open the window, I'm going to go right through it. And we'll see. So if you want it to be a certain way, it depends on what you say. And certain things, that are incendiary or there's a spin behind it, I can tell the difference. And so therefore I don't give them the media attention, or I don't give them the play in the conversation, because it deflates them. And this particular office holder clearly has, deflection issues and has all kinds of narcissistic tendencies. And so why would I give you the time of day? I let the voters decide what they want to see and who they want to put up there.
Well, Amy, I can tell you are a very focused human being.
I try to be very focused. I'm definitely very passionate.
You're going towards it.
Yes. Oh my God. If you guys want more information, her website is scrolling at the bottom of the screen, amymercado.com. Amy, it was such a pleasure having a conversation with you. We appreciate so much your time. And guys, this was again just a little snippet into her world.
Totally
if you want more information, amymercado.com. We're in election day, just so I can be super clear on that. August 18th is the last day. So for procrastinators. So now that I have clarified that, Amy, I appreciate you so much being a part. Guys, if this is your first time seeing us, please make sure to like us, to follow us, to subscribe to us. We're here each and every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Rania, it's always a pleasure. Amy, thank you so much for joining us today.
And
it was my pleasure. Thank you for reaching out.
No, I was saying for anyone who has not made their decision, you can reach out to Amy. Like she said, go to her website, email her, she'll pick up the phone and talk to you. And
you'd be surprised the amount of questions I get. Some of them are a little interesting, but I respond to just about everything. If there's things that I can tell are spun by the opposition, I may not engage. But for the most part, folks call me, email me, text me, and it's interesting when I respond back. I say like, "Oh, I didn't expect you to call me back. I thought it would be a recording, or I didn't expect you to answer." You call me my number. Like, I'm gonna do
Yeah, I emailed you. You emailed me a couple of hours later, and boom, we're on the phone and we're doing this.
And we just met. Exactly. It's like, so I just, I asked them to do the same thing of me, and that is do your research. If I'm gonna get a call. I'm an elected official. I get all kinds of calls. Some of them are really great. Some of them are very hateful. At the end of the day, that's part of the deal. Like, I'm a public official. And so I will respond as often and respectfully as I possibly can. And you'd be surprised how any level of response that I've shared with folks, even within my legislative duties, and I answer the phone at all hours of the day and night. And they're like, "Oh, are you Representative Mercado? I didn't expect Representative Mercado." Yeah, but you called me, right? And how can I help you? And I'm the person engaging with them electronically. I'm the person engaging with them. My social media is me. Like, that's the point. It's me. I'm engaging with you. And so, what I ask is a level of respect. If you come at me at a certain way, then you need to expect in kind, right? And so there's some of that, but 99% of the time, it's you and I having a conversation with you have a concern, and I will be willing to share. And sometimes we won't even see eye to eye, and that's okay. That's kind of the whole point of living in the US, right? We're not going to see eye to eye, but we're going to respect each other's opinion and opportunity and right to say and feel the things that we feel. But you can't use those rights either to then infringe on other people's rights. So that's where the line in the sand comes in, right? So you have folks that use religion, you have folks that use gender, you have folks that use all kinds of things to try to trip you up. Yeah, well, there's a line in the sand, and you'll hear about it depending on what the situation is with me.
Thank you, Amy.
I love it, guys. You guys can reach out to Amy specifically. And if you guys have any questions or comments at all, we love hearing from you. At
I love all these comments.
Say it again.
All these comments, I was trying to read them.
I know, Amy, you're a hot topic today, girl.
Hot topic.
I love it.
You can always reach out to us at manager@arwanilawfirm.com. Even if you have a suggestion for somebody that you would like to see on the show. We appreciate you. We appreciate your time. Please share this with anybody you think that can find value from this and that you want to see this young lady right here, Amy Mercado. Guys, we appreciate you and we look forward to seeing you next week. Oh, no. Next week will be on Monday, but more information on that. Next week will be Monday. So I am super excited for who we have next week.
We are?
Yes, we are. Rania will talk about that later.
Ranya's like, oh, news.
We are. Okay.
What happens when you're
ladies, it was a
See what
pleasure.
happens when I'm too busy and she's too busy, and I find out on live that we're having something.
It's on Monday next week.
Okay,
Just
thank you. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, thank you both. Thank you for what you're doing and giving, this platform, folks like me, the opportunity on the platform to share a little bit more. And again, it's pieces. It's all you get from all of us are snippets. And at some point you can then build the puzzle, right?
Exactly.
I'm an open book. I've been here 25 years. I have zero plans of going anywhere. Together we can do a whole lot of things.
We will.
You're in Orlando.
We can and we will.
All right, guys. We will see you guys next week. You guys have a great rest of your week.
Thank you, guys.